With the boat show, we are in Monfalcone, which is northern Italy, and we're on board the brand new Solaris 50 that has just been launched. This is the novelty of the year 2022 of the Solaris shipyard.
Abbiamo grandi aspettative su questo 50 piedi perché il precedente modello.
We have high expectations regarding this 50-footer because the previous model of Solaris 50 was the best-selling boat of the shipyard, with nearly 60 units. So it's definitely an iconic model because it probably represents, at this time, the size that's most popular among Solaris customers.
Per la maggiore tra I clienti Solaris.
Sostituisce un 50 che ha avuto grande successo qui.
It replaces a 50-footer that was very successful. 15 metres is a magical size. For so many years, it has been the flagship of the shipyards that mass-produce boats. It was a bit of a point of arrival. Now it can almost be defined as an average boat, but it is of an important measure. With 15 metres, you can do everything and sail anywhere.
E si naviga ovunque.
È la barca più grande che si può portare da soli.
It's the largest boat that you can steer on your own, therefore it doesn't need a crew. So it's a very centre model in terms of size, in terms of quality-price ratio, and in terms of aesthetics, which we think we're really good at. In short, it's a boat that is truly having a great success.
Come tutte le barche di Solaris è disegnata dall'argentino Soto Acebal.
Like all Solaris boats, it is designed by Argentine Soto Acebal. Compared to the previous model, it's slightly larger with a slightly bigger wet surface area. This means more stiffness under the sail and a little more volume inside.
Abbiamo cercato di fare delle migliorie importanti. La prima che mi viene in mente è sicuramente il tender garage.
We've tried to make some major improvements. The first one that comes to mind is definitely the tender garage, which allows the longitudinal entry of the tender. As a result, it's a completely watertight tender garage with easy access of insertion and use of the tender.
I camminamenti terminano subito avanti ai timoni con due scalini.
The walkways end immediately in front of the helms with two convenient steps to go up and down, and obviously leave a very, very wide cockpit. The wheelhouses are full width, so when you're at the helm, even with an open spray hood, you're able to have perfect visibility forward.
La barca è comunque più larga del vecchio.
However, the boat is wider than the previous 50-footer, so we have more volume both on the stern as well as on the bow. The hull design has changed a little bit. We have a shifted edge on the bow, giving us more volume and more buoyancy of the bow. This greatly improves the trim of the boat when sailing, especially upwind.
Il trim della barca in navigazione, soprattutto in bolina.
C'è una grande ricerca della semplicità. Facile da usare.
There's a great pursuit for simplicity. It must be user-friendly. Here is an example, the self-tacking jib that we have seen on other boats and even on Solaris, but which has now become a must for cruisers. Then the full battened mainsail with Park Avenue boom, and in this case, a carbon mast. The electronic instrumentation is by B&G. Under the boom, the Nemesis instruments and Zeus 35 multifunctional display console.
Ci sono delle novità in pozzetto. Le ruote del timone sono state spostate molto a poppa e molto.
There are some new features in the cockpit. The rudder wheels have been moved far aft and far outward so that the helmsman can see forward even when the spray hood is open. In addition, there's a clear area in front of the helmsman, and to walk and get on deck there are two very easy steps. There are no obstacles.
Semplici, non ci sono ostacoli da scavalcare. Un particolare che rivela l'attenzione.
A detail that reveals the attention to the finishes is this closure for the spray hood frame.
Davanti alla ruota del timone, la stazione.
In front of the helm wheel is the station with the two winches. Obviously, two on one side, which are used to adjust the sheets of both mainsail and genoa and all the halyards. We suggest using one of the two winches in electric to simplify all the most tiring manoeuvres.
Per semplificare tutte le manovre più faticose. Ed eccoci nella dinette di Solaris 50. Gli interni sono...
And here we are in the dinette of Solaris 50. The interior design is by Patrick Roseo's studio. The layout is in the traditional one for Solaris boats, and that is with a nice master cabin in the bow that can be either with a centre bed or with a side bed.
sia con letto laterali. Nella zona di poppa 2 cabine che possono avere...
In the aft area there are 2 cabins that can have a double bed or 2 separate beds. Plus there is the option of having 1 or 2 bathrooms. In this case, with 2 bathrooms, the charting and galley areas change.
È una barca di semplice eleganza.
It's a boat of simple elegance, with the satin finishes very restful to the eye.
Qui di fianco a me l'albero di carbonio passante, questa è una barca studiata.
Here next to me, the carbon keel step mast. This is a boat also designed for racing, so this becomes an optional, almost mandatory in the pursuit of performance. The keel stepped mast as once used on regatta boats.
Il letto centrale nella cabina armatore.
The centre bed in the owner's cabin allows the 2 occupants to get out of bed without disturbing the other. The option with the broadside bed has other advantages in the general layout of the spaces. In that case, the bathroom is at the far
In
bow.
quel caso il bagno è a estrema prua. Qui c'è un bagno con...
Here there is a bathroom with a separate shower, opposite a large closet.
Qualche novità in cucina, il lavello in quest'isola.
A few new features in the galley. A sink on this island next to the ladder. The hob machine has an induction top and no more gas stoves. And back here, the refrigerator divided into 2 parts. The bottom one can also be used as a freezer.
Credo che il mercato riconosca che Solaris è un cantiere ormai storico perché è stato fondato nel
I think the market recognises that Solaris is now a historic shipyard because it was founded in 1974 and has a lot of experience in boat building. Our goal is to create marine boats for people who really go out to sea, not just beautiful objects, which I also believe they are, but they are objects for sea enthusiasts. And that also is a kind of the company's mission. Built for people who go out to sea, who use boats.
Quando abbiamo provato Fortunata, che era il Solaris 50 della serie
When we
precedente,
tested Fortunata, which was the Solaris 50 from the previous series, this Gulf was really rough. We caught wind gusts up to 40 knots and we had a little of mainsail. Today, on this new 50-footer, that's not the case. The Gulf of Trieste gives us at most 6 knots of wind. However, it allows us to use all the sails available, namely the mainsail, all hoisted, the Genoa, which is self-tacking, and an A0.
che è autovirante, e un A0. Abbiamo superato facilmente la velocità.
We easily exceeded the wind speed, reaching 6.7, 6.8 knots, with 6 real wind with asymmetric. This is a good performance for a 50-foot boat that is a performance cruiser, but is totally equipped for cruising.
Totalmente dotata per la crociera. Altre sensazioni, questa barca ha 2 pale più.
Other impressions? This boat has 2 blades rather wide apart, quite angled. The directionality of the rudder is always very good, at least in these light conditions.
Di bolina non si sente la
Upwind, you don't feel the lack of somewhat larger Genoa. Probably, if you want to tackle the regatta, a few square metres more of the sails in the bow wouldn't hurt.
non guasta. In queste condizioni abbiamo trovato un'ottima vela.
In these conditions, we found a very good asymmetrical sail, a little bigger than a Code Zero, not as baggy as a Jenica. It gave us that speed, that ideal propulsion to test this hull.
Propulsione ideale per provare questa carena. Easy handling è un obiettivo di tutti i cantieri.
Easy handling is the goal of all shipyards. Contemporary boats succeed in doing it, and even Solaris 50 does it. The owner does not need a crew, he just needs good help on board to steer the boat.
Un valido aiuto per condurre la barca.